Hello, this is Darlinda McTuck, and today we're going to be exploring Twitter. Now, before we get too much further, I just want to remind you that there is a Twitter checklist that you were supposed to print off and have with you as we go through the presentation. So if you haven't printed off the Twitter checklist, go ahead and pause the recording and get that done. All right, now that you have your Twitter checklist, notice it says the title is Twitter, what is all the tweeting about? So again, we're going to be exploring Twitter. You can see my name there, Darlinda McTuck. You can see my email contact, dmctuck@e1b.org. All right, let's get started. We have a few objectives for the day. First of all, we're going to look at what it means to be connected via Twitter. We're going to identify some vocabulary terms related to Twitter. We're going to look at some steps to get you started with Twitter. What can you even tweet about? And again, some organization tips for Twitter. So right there, you can see a little quote, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. However, today, a journey of 1,000 miles is going to begin with a single tweet. Now, you can go ahead and see that it has a sentence there about being a connected educator, which doesn't mean that you use certain things or certain tools. It means being connected or joining together with others. Whichever way you're doing it is probably the right way for you. Hopefully after this presentation, Twitter is going to be the way, or at least one of the ways. So if you're a connected educator, you have networks beyond your school. You collaborate online. You use social media, not just for people you may know, like right in your immediate geographical location, but around the globe. And social media can be Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, many different ways. Another thing, if you're connected and you're learning things, you need to bring that back to your school setting. And again, you no longer will feel isolated. And again, it's going to be conversations about topics, not complaints or rumors. And again, you're going to co-construct knowledge within networks. There's a gentleman by the name of Kevin Honeycutt. He is on Twitter and other social media. And one thing that he actually says is, alone, I am smart. Together, we are brilliant. So again, networking, being connected. So Twitter. Now notice you have, there you can do emails, you can do blogs, but things happen in between that. So what you can come across are these small updates from people. Now it's known actually as microblogging. Now notice it says 140 to 280 characters per update or tweet. Just recently, November 7th, 2017, Twitter did up that character count to 280. No worries though, you'll see later on when we go to compose a tweet, you'll see that it actually gives us a character count. Again, Twitter, you need to follow what matters to you. That's different for everybody. And again, trying to connect to that worldwide network of people. So your personal learning network, before Twitter, your PLN was small. It was mostly, you were restricted by your geographical location. So maybe teachers in your building, things like that. With Twitter, all those physical boundaries are gone. You can go all around the globe and connect with people. The important thing is you share, they share. You share, they share. So again, this is a two-way street. So I did mention that we're going to be doing some Twitter vocabulary terms. If you take that Twitter checklist, you'll notice on page 1, up at the top, it's talking about before you dive in and build your community, there's 2 things you're going to do. Customize your profile and understand Twitter terminology. Now, as a digital file on the website that you clicked and you printed it, you can also go back in there, and each of those would be links. So the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to look at some terminology. Notice we have tweet, hashtag, direct message, retweet, favorite, follow, followers, mention, and reply. Now, this is actually a copy of a tweet. You can see it's one that I did back on November 8th. Now at the top there, you'll see a username. You can see it says Dr. Darlinda McTuck. That is my username. But then notice next to it, it says at Darlinda McTuck. That's actually my Twitter handle, okay, or what you would actually type in to find me. Now a hashtag is going to have this pound sign in front of it. So EdTech is a hashtag. Notice reply, which is this little communication bubble down there. Retweet are these two little arrows. And then this little heart is favorite. And there's also more options. And to get to that, you'd actually have to click on that little arrow up there. And then there's also shortened URLs because you are limited to number of characters. Now, an anatomy of this is a retweet. How do we know? Because it says you retweeted. So again, I retweeted this. It says I did. The next thing you see are the number of retweets. So even though I retweeted it, other people retweeted it. So retweeting is you find a tweet you like, you just click on this little symbol right here and you're able to retweet it. And again, the number of favorites. Okay, so what we have here are mentions. This is where you see the Twitter handles or the Twitter usernames right within the tweet. Those are mentions. A reply. So if I click on reply, which if you recall was that little communication bubble right there. If I click on that and I reply, then whoever I'm replying to puts a period in front of their username. All right. So before we go on to creating the network, I'm going to escape out of this for a second. I'm going to actually go to Twitter. So here I am on Twitter. I'm actually signed in. Now notice on page 1, again, of that Twitter checklist handout you printed, it says customize your profile. Now, before we do that, I'm actually going to log out because I want you to see what Twitter looks like if you first come up on it. So here you are. This is you've gone to twitter.com. It says, do you have an account? Log in. Now, if I didn't have an account, I would go down to sign up. So if I click on sign up, notice this is where I'm going to put my name, right? My full name, whatever that may happen to be. Right? I can put phone or email. So I go ahead, I can put all that in. Okay. Oh, it says it's already registered. Can't have more than one email. Password. Okay. Wants me to put in a stronger one. Okay. Now, this is where it says I can personalize this. I can leave it, or I can deselect it and figure that out later. I'll leave it selected just so you see what it looks like. So I say sign up. Now, this is where it says put in your phone or skip. I'm just going to skip that. Okay, I come up with a username. Okay, so again, I have to go back later and get rid of this. But again, it says let's go. If I say let's go, then what it's going to actually do is it's going to go ahead and try to connect me to certain things. Okay, so it asks me what I'm interested in. I may not be interested in any of this. I could actually search for something, so I could put in education. Okay, I could say, whatever I want, education, right, and say continue. In fact, if you notice on this Twitter checklist, if you go to, for example, to page 3 where it talks about content, that's what they're talking about. So what type of content are you interested in? Education, sports, whatever you're interested in. Okay, you could bring in context if you want. You can say no thanks. Okay, make your timeline yours. So it's actually giving me some things that they're saying. Because I said education, they're giving me some things to look at. So again, this would be what you would see under on page 3 where it says content sources, here's some different ones. Also, when it says find your people, so the content is education, but if you're on page 1, it says find your people, okay, because it says celebrities and influencers, like-minded brands and individuals. So again, like for example, you could have Amazon Education. That would be a like-minded individual. I could come down here to celebrities, and I could say, okay, I'm going to go ahead with this one right here. This is Kevin O'Neill. He's a meteorologist with, a local channel. So again, I could go ahead and, follow him, that sort of thing. I can also deselect all of that and say continue. But again, I can also pick and choose. I might want U.S. News, Edutopia, U.S. Department of Education, Google for Education, Apple Education. So I could say follow 5 and continue. I don't want to turn on notifications now. So now what you'll see, I'm actually coming into Twitter. And again, this is my Twitter feed or my timeline. It's actually showing me some steps here. But I can also, skip through all that if I want to. Okay. So again, that's how you get started with Twitter. So, going ahead and, signing up for all that. Now, on page 1, it does talk about customizing your profile. So if I come up here, you'll notice there's my profile. See that little icon? It's just like a little cartoon person. If I click on that, what I can actually do is go to my profile. And this is where, notice I don't have a profile photo. So I can click on that and I can get a photo in there if I have one somewhere. So let me just search for something here. All right, there's a picture of me right there. There's me in a Santa hat, why not? And say open. And notice you can move the picture around. You can also, if you needed to, larger, smaller, say apply. So now I got my Santa hat on. So now you notice there's my Santa hat. I can also upload a photo here, which would allow me to, bring up anything, that I want in there. I can find some kind of picture or not. Okay, if I come down here, this is my bio. This is where you need to type a few things about yourself. Like you could say, educator, ed tech, whatever you want to write in there. Maybe you could say, whatever you are, world traveler, no big deal. You can put a location, you don't have to. If you have a website you want to share, you can put that in there. You can put your birthday, but you don't have to, but I would at least do the bio. Okay, you can even type with emojis in there. You can change the theme color. Okay, and then once you're done, you just hit save changes. So now, now you're just getting going, and notice, oh, and you do have to confirm your email address, but I won't worry about that right now. But again, I can get started with tweeting, no worries there. Okay, so notice if I wanted to start my first tweet, it even says I could literally tweet this and out it would go. I could also come up here and hit tweet and start typing something. This is my first tweet. I can add an image. I can add a GIF. I could say, whatever I want to put in there. These are some GIFs. So maybe I'm pretty excited. So I can go ahead and do that. And I can say tweet. So now this is actually my very first tweet. Okay, so there it is. Again, it is that simple to tweet. Now, I'm not, I am following some people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the home here because remember we clicked on the little profile thing up there so we could make some changes. We're going to go back to the home now. Let me hit the refresh because my profile picture, there's my Santa. Okay. So if I start to go down through here, you'll notice these are some of the people or businesses or organizations or whatever that I'm following. So let's say I check out this 4 myths about creativity. So I click on this. Nice. So I can actually see a link here. Life is good. I'm like, okay, this is the greatest thing ever. So I go back here to my Twitter feed and I say, okay, I want to retweet this. So I retweet it. Okay. Now this doesn't really have any hashtags. In a second, I'm going to show you some different hashtags you could use. Okay. But I can hit retweet. As soon as I hit retweet, you'll notice I should end up, if I click on tweets over here, notice there it is and it said I retweeted it. Okay, so again, no worries there. So at this point, we've looked at some Twitter terminology, we've customized your profile, we looked at, making our first tweet. Okay, so let's just go ahead back to the presentation, see where we're at. Okay, so we did this. These are the steps. Profile, we just actually looked at that. Remember, that was the little button up in the corner. So let's just take a look here. Okay, so here is a picture of my profile. So you can see that I've actually tweeted 4,580 tweets. I'm following 997. 894 are following me. I've liked 2,073 things and lists. We'll look at that. But here's my bio. You can see it says EdTech all the way. Twitter is my PLN, PhD Ed Leadership, Google Educator Levels 1 and 2, Army Veteran. Okay, so again, you can make that whatever you want. All right, so really with Twitter, the best thing you can do or the easiest thing you can do is just jump right in, just get going. So go to page 2 of the handout there, the Twitter checklist, and it says hashtags at the top. Now, so hashtags. Now, notice there are some there's links that go to different indexes, but I'm going to come out of that. And another file that I shared with you are these popular education hashtags on Twitter. Now, notice this one is actually from Alan November, and these are some very popular ones. Notice we have subject area, like you can see Art Ed, ENG chat, math chat, Muse Ed chat, for music education. Here, Ed chat, that's a huge one. Okay, over here, there's for administrators, education levels, issues. Here's literacy, professional development, Common Core standards, specialty areas, like STEM education, flipped class. So again, hashtags. Now you might say, why do I care about hashtags? Let's say that I want to see some things on STEM. So if I go back to Twitter, if you want to log out, you can just click on your little profile picture and log out there. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to log into the other one that you saw there, the one where I've tweeted a lot and done a lot of things. So let me just get logged in. All right, now I'm back. So you might be saying, all right, so, what do I care about a hashtag? What does that mean? So we were talking about STEM. So I'm up here on search Twitter, hashtag STEM, and enter. So now what happens, any tweet that has the hashtag STEM in it, see all the hashtag STEM, see that, STEM. So what happens is, as I go down through, I'm actually finding tweets that are all linked to the hashtag STEM. So hashtags are a way of organizing, tweets in the sense of if I wanted to search for something like that, I could just go up there and search for the hashtag, see, all the tweets come up that are linked to that. And again, when you start to put in hashtags, people look for certain hashtags, they may find your tweet, okay, which helps it get more noticed. So again, hashtags are described on page 2 of that checklist, plus you also have a copy of this hashtag file. All right. Right back here. Now, another thing that you have to consider is who you're going to follow. Now, being an educator, you may already have some people, like you may even recognize some people on here, right? Kathy Schrock, Tony Vincent, maybe Laura Candler, Richard Byrne, Edutopia. So again, these people are all on Twitter. So for example, if I click on Edutopia, you'll see it'll actually take me to their profile on Twitter. So I can actually see that. So what would happen here if you go to page 1 where it says find your people on the checklist, you'll notice it says, celebrities and like-minded brands or individuals. So as an educator, Edutopia would be a like-minded brand for me. Okay. So again, to think about this when you're on the web. So maybe there's a website you go to, for example, Edpuzzle is a site that I use. So when I come into Edpuzzle, what I can actually do is I could even see, sometimes you'll actually see on here, see how it says tweet us? If I come down here and click on tweet us, notice it has Edpuzzle. So it's letting me know that they're actually on Twitter. So I can go onto Twitter and I could actually follow them. So if I go back onto Twitter and it says, right there, Edutopia, we follow each other. So notice it says following. And again, they're following me. I'm following them. So no worries there. But again, that's how you can start to find some people. So if you're going on websites, if you're reading blogs, if they have something about Twitter on there, or just search for them on Twitter, then you can follow them. All right. So again, that's page 1 of the Twitter checklist. All right. Oops, let me go. Oh, there we go. All right, so we talked about. Okay, so one thing you're going to notice when you get started with Twitter is that it's going to be kind of quiet in the beginning. You might tweet a little and you're like, well, no one's really noticing me. You have to be patient. You have to hang in there. You have to keep using Twitter. A tipping point will come and more interaction will occur. I love this tweet right here. I had an online Twitter class about a year or so ago, and this gentleman was actually in it. And notice what he's saying here. He does Flipped Classroom. There's 2 gentlemen, the 2 fathers of the Flipped Classroom. Notice he feels like he made it to the big time because one of them is following him. So again, pretty cool. So that is where a tipping point would come. Now, what do I mean there? So let me go back. Let me get back here into my home. So how can you get more involved so that people will follow you? So what can happen, for example, as I go down through my Twitter feed, I could be like, oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? I like this. So I could like it. Now, when I like it, that's letting this person know, like, hey, I'm noticing your tweet. I like it. Or if I want to get that out to everybody, I can go ahead and retweet it and retweet. So again, I can retweet, I can like things, I can even reply and ask them a question so if I just hit reply, I can just go ahead and I'm replying to those and saying, I can say, okay, yeah, this is a great product, whatever. So again, it's a way to get yourself noticed. You like people's stuff, you retweet their stuff, you reply to their stuff, people will start to notice you. All right. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is there even to tweet about? What is all this tweeting? All these, I've tweeted over 4,000 times, not quite 5,000, but over 4,000, getting close. But it said, what can you tweet about? What are you doing in your classroom? A blog post you've just read, a website you find helpful, all things educational. So if we go back into my Twitter, you can even see here, this right here, this is from someone's school. You can see that this was actually retweeted This was 2 hours ago. There was a show there, right? Here's another first grade classroom, right? There's a, it's a Starbucks, but again, classroom rules. So, just different things. And there are advertisements. Sometimes you see advertisements, retweeted, liked. Okay. So again, with Twitter, you want to come in, you want to get going, but again, thinking about, you can tweet about, what you're doing in your classroom, blog that you're reading. For example, here's a blog. There's Richard Byrne. He does free technology for teachers. So if I click on this, this is his blog. So for example, if I was going through this blog, and I wanted to, I'm looking, like here's Google. So I could be reading through this, but I can also be on his blog home. So here's his post for today, right? So the nice thing about this is I go down through, oh, look at this. Look at this. I could literally click on this and share it to Twitter. So it's set up for me to just easily share it to Twitter. And I could literally click on tweet and just send that right out. So again, things that you're finding, things that you're seeing, you can easily tweet them out. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, okay, so I can use this as a PLN, I can build up my own connections, but what can I do with this in my classroom? So here's 50 ways to use Twitter in the classroom. Now, here's one thing to remember. You remember how we were talking about having a hashtag? So what you can actually do, nobody has to follow anybody. Like I was showing, you could follow Edutopia, different people that you know. Okay, so if you want to use this in your classroom, all you have to do is make a hashtag, and the students would search for the hashtag. So you don't have to have even no one has to follow anybody. So what you could actually do is just have a hashtag. Students would search for the hashtag. There could be assignments, a news feed, right? Track a hashtag. Okay. Connect. You could share things. There's so many things you could do. Ask a question. There is a poll feature in Twitter. When you are creating a tweet, this right here is a poll. You could actually go in there and ask a question. So again, there's so many different ways that you could use Twitter. Connect classrooms, research, engage parents, write reviews, sample questions. There's facilitated discussion. So many different things. Syllabus changes. Again, remember I said take a poll. You can actually set it right up in there. Okay. So again, there's many, post a math puzzle, post a video, an online art gallery, network with other educators. So many things you could do. So many things you could do. Now, we just looked, I'm going to bring this slide up. We just looked at this. So remember to create a tweet. I just clicked on that little button up in the right-hand corner. Looked just like that. Now, yours might be a different color depending on the theme color that you choose. And then that tweet is what you would see like on a website, which just you tweet it right out. Now, there are URL shorteners because you are limited in characters, but sometimes those are blocked in the school, bit.ly, tiny URL, Google URL shortener. So, again, like if I was to click on this, what it would want me to do is it would want me to put in a longer website. You can see some of the ones that I've shortened, right? So again, you can do that and put it in your tweet. Just remember that sometimes the URL shorteners are blocked. Okay. Now, one thing I would like to challenge you to is 12 days with Twitter. So what is 12 days with Twitter? 12 days with Twitter has to do with 12 different challenges for tweeting. Now it's going to start December 4th, so there's plenty of time to get involved. And even if you see this after December 4th, don't worry about it. You can connect with it anytime. So notice, like if I go to day 1, it'll tell me what to do. What's my challenge for the day? Day 2, what's my challenge for the day? See that? So this is a nice way to start getting into, Twitter. It actually gives you challenges to meet every day. Okay? So again, we were exploring Twitter, and we were just exploring some of the basic functioning. Now, I'd like to help you a little bit with organizing. Notice it says many people have described reading Twitter updates like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. So when you go into your Twitter, so for example, I go in here, I'm going to go to home, and I see all these tweets coming in. All right, so da-da-da-da-da. All right. There's even it's kind of funny, as we go in to talk about organizing your Twitter, right here is a workflow mastering for every social network. But anyways, what you can actually do is have something called a list. So I'm going to click on my profile picture and go to lists. When I go to list, you'll actually see all of my different lists. So notice, for example, if I wanted to just see pretty much people I work with, like right here, this one says E1B peeps, since I work for A1 BOCES, there's 30 people on here. But when I come in here now, this is actually people that I work with or I've met through work, and I follow them on here. Okay, so again, this changes how this looks. All right, so no worries there. But so how do you end up doing a list? So let's say, for example, let me go back here on my home. Let's say that I'm going down through my feed here, and notice this is the New York State Education Department. Let me click on the title there. When I click on the title, their username, it'll take me over here. Now notice when I get here, there's 3 little dots. When I click on those 3 little dots, it says add or remove from list. Okay, so I have all these different lists here. List. Like let's say, I wanted to put them under ed leaders, or but I can also notice I can create a list. I could say, let's see, education. I'll say organizations. Give it a description. I can make it public or private. Say save the list. So now I can click on education organizations. Okay, so then what happens if I go back to my home, well, actually, if I just go up here to my profile and click on lists, notice I now have education organizations, and they are the only member on it. So at this point, that looks kind of funny because it's only them or what they've retweeted. So again, a list is a quick way of organizing yourself as you're trying to go through, Twitter and do that. So again, you have the Twitter checklist, which we certainly mentioned some things and looked at some things. And after this recording, in order to get credit, you're going to have to fill out some things on that checklist and turn it in. But again, all the instructions are on the website. So let me just go back to the presentation. Okay, I'm just going to bring up my name and email one more time. So again, I say happy tweeting. Remember, you just got to jump in. You just got to get started. Again, I've given you some tips and tricks for doing that. I've defined some terms for you and given you some strategies, some ideas for using Twitter, not only for a PLN for yourself, but also in your classroom. So again, happy tweeting. This is Darlinda McTuck at dmctuck@e1b.org. Thank you.